Should I start then? Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. So today is going to be a bit of a daunting task. We especially, well, all of the chapters are compelling. All of these chapters are compelling, important.
These are chapters 7 onwards, right?
7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
So 7, boy, there. I think number 4 is a very important verse because
7 chapter 4.
Yeah, 174. But even more important than that, see, Vyasadeva was visited by Narada, and Narada left. And then what did he do is the question. And he was in his ashram at Shamya Prasa. So this is on the bank of Saraswati in the Himalayas. And so what did Vyasadeva do? He meditated on the Supreme Lord and through bhakti. So that is important. Then it's mentioned that he was already transcendental to the material miseries because of bhakti. And by hearing Vedas, one can attain bhakti. That's the 7th verse. What does it say? Yes, yam vayi shruyamananam krishne parama purushe bhaktir udpadyate pungsash shoka moha bhayapaha. So shoka and moha is destroyed by meditating on Krishna. So then the question came, well, what happened to the son of Vyasadeva, Shukadev? So Shaunakya asked this to Sutta, Ugrashrava Sutta, and he replied, this is one of the most famous verses in the Bhagavatam. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this verse in 64 ways in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 24. But I'll read the verse.
Which verse?
Sutta 1:7-10. Sutta uvacha atmaramascha munayo nirgranta apir urukrame kurvantya haitu kim bhaktim itam bhuta guno harihi. So the translation is, this is called the Atmarama verse. Sutta Goswami said all different varieties of Atmaramas, those who take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, although freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. So liberation, the impersonal liberation, is called Sayuja Mukti. But in Sayuja Mukti, there's no bhakti. And here, Sutta Goswami is saying that there are different types of Atmaramas, and all of them can be attracted to bhakti, impersonalists. And so now, in order to understand this, you have to read, in order to understand it deeply. I'm sorry, anyone can understand the translation, but to deeply understand it, you have to study this 24th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this verse in 64 different ways. Right? So I've got 3 more minutes on this chapter. So after explaining the importance of bhakti, then Krishna Leela begins from text number 12, shloka number 12. So particularly the birth and activities of Parikshit, because Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukadev to Parikshit, and Sutta is narrating that to these rishis at Naimisharanya. So he had to set the stage for who is Parikshit. In order to understand who is Parikshit, then Mahabharata war is described. The killing of Duryodhan by Bhima is described in 13 and 14. And then Ashwatthama killed the sons of Draupadi and brought the heads to Duryodhana, he thinking that Duryodhana would be pleased. And here it says Duryodhana disapproved, and he was not pleased. He was lying with his all limbs broken on the battlefield. What's called Virgati, as you know. So then it's described that Draupadi was, she had only these 5 sons. Each Pandava had 1 son with Draupadi. She was married to 5 husbands. So this is an exceptional case. It's not the Vedic system, but there are exceptions to every rule. And so Arjuna told Draupadi that I will bring you the head of Ashwatthama. So this description of how he chases Ashwatthama, captures him, brings him into the assembly, but then Lord Krishna is present. But first, how to capture Ashwatthama. So they pursued him, and in the pursuit, Ashwatthama releases Brahmastra, and at that point, Arjuna asks Krishna what to do. So Krishna says, Krishna says yes. I mean, he indicates to him. So therefore, Arjuna touched water, did a parikrama of Lord Krishna, and he cast his Brahmastra to counteract the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. And at that time, the whole world, all the 3 worlds were scorched by the heat of that Ashwatthama. It appeared that the whole Samvartaka, the fire that destroys all the planets, was happening, but it didn't. Arjuna was able to retract both of the Brahmastras, and then able to arrest Ashwatthama, bring him in front of Draupadi, and then he told Draupadi, now I will execute him. So then Draupadi says, well, his mother will also become a widow like me. And and he's a Brahmin by caste and by learning also. So the mother of Ashwatthama was Kripacharya's sister. Kripacharya survived the battle of Kurukshetra. He fought with the Kauravas, but he survived. And Dronacharya's wife was a widow because Dronacharya's head was cut off by Drishtadyumna. So then Draupadi said that don't kill him. So now how do you kill him without killing him? And Lord Krishna said that a Brahmabandhu also should not be killed. But if he's Atatai, he should be killed. So now you decide. So then at that time, Arjuna cut off a jewel and hair on the head of Ashwatthama, and it was considered that he had lost all of his wealth and his residence, and he was driven out of the camp. So I went over 2 minutes on the description of chapter 7. Now chapter 8 are Kunti's prayers to Lord Krishna. So, and then Parikshit was also saved. That's described because Parikshit was in the womb of his mother. His father was Abhimanyu. He was killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. So here, after Ashwatthama was punished, the Pandavas performed all of the last rites of those who were killed in the battle of Kurukshetra, along with Lord Krishna. And at that time, Yudhishthir, upon the advice of Lord Krishna, performed 3 Ashwamedha yagnas, which made him famous. Lord Indra is called Shatakratuhu, one who performed 100 Ashwamedha yagnas. So then Lord Krishna prepared to leave the Pandavas after the war. And at that time, the mother of Parikshit ran towards Lord Krishna that please protect me, that an iron arrow is coming to kill the son in my womb, which was Parikshit. And apparently Ashwatthama again invoked a Brahmastra, this time to kill Uttara, because the Parikshit was the only survivor of the descendants of the Pandavas. He would have been the only survivor. So at that time, Pandavas apparently took up their weapons to defend Uttara, their daughter-in-law. But Lord Krishna invoked Sudarshan Chakra, and he protected Parikshit when he was Garbhastha, when he was in the womb of his mother. So only Lord Krishna could protect Parikshit at that time. So seeing this, Kunti Devi began to address Krishna with prayers. And wow. Number 24, what is it? 1:8:24. Kunti prays that you saved us. Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanat Satsabhayam Vanavasa Krichrataha Mride Neka Maharathastatro Maharathastrato Dronyastra Chasma Harer Virikshitaha. So you saved us from the poison, being poisoned. That was Bhima, the fire, what is it? Laksha Griha, from cannibals in the forest, from the vicious Asat Sabha, when Draupadi was attempted to be stripped naked in the assembly. Then during the Vanavas, and for 13 years, and then in the battle of Kurukshetra, and now from this Brahmastra of Ashwatthama, so the prayers of Kunti, all of those prayers are praising Lord Krishna. I'm looking for the other important. All of them are important. That is the thing. But there was one that I remember. I'm not finding it. I think it's one of the first prayers. No? Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Yes.
I think this Krishnaya Vasudevaya is very famous. 1:821. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So 1:821 is a very famous verse. God, there's one more. Katam Pashyema Histriyaha. I'm not finding that verse right now. And the other one that's very prayer is Vipada Santu Na Shashvat. Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. Let us continue to suffer miseries. Boy, why is that? How didn't I get that one? I didn't do my homework properly here. Number 25, I'm sorry. So that's Vipada. Vipada Santu. May we suffer miseries again and again. Hey Jagat Guru Krishna, because Bhavato Darshana Yat Syat. If we suffer miseries, we see you. Apunar Bhava Darshanam. If we don't suffer these miseries, when will we see you? So this is a very important verse. 1:825. All of the Kunti Stuti is important. All of it. I missed the one. So then after Kunti Stuti, Yudhishthir was lamenting that I killed so many people. And it is not possible for me by engaging in social welfare work to, perform prayaschittam. So he said, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all of these sins. So Yudhishthir was extremely humble. But because Lord Krishna himself encouraged him to fight the battle. So actually there were no sins on his part, even though he expressed like that. So after this, the next chapter begins, chapter 9. And Yudhishthir went to the battlefield, and there Bhishma, the grandfather of Pitamaha, Bhishma Dev, was about to pass away. All the Pandavas accompanied him. And Lord Krishna and so many rishis, they also, Lord Krishna was seated on the chariot with Arjuna, and all the Brahmanas were there. So they all bowed to Bhishma. Bhishma had a boon, right? Vara, Icha Mrityu. He could die at will. And so after the battle of Kurukshetra, which was in the winter, in the December, Margashirsha, I think. And then after that, he was waiting for Makara Sankranti for Uttarayanam. The battle was in the Dakshinayanam. And in the Makara Sankranti is when the sun goes into the northern hemisphere. So waiting, he was lying on this Banashaya, Sharashaya, bed of arrows. And so many great rishis and sages Parvat Muni, Narad Muni, Dhaumya Vyas, Brihadashva, Bharadwaj, Parashuram, Vashishta, Indra Pramada, Trita, Grita Samada, Asita, Kakshivan, Gautama, Atri, Koshika, Sudarshana. So many great sages were present, it says. And Shukadev and Shukadev was also there. Kashyapa, Angirasa, with their disciples, they were all, so you can imagine the scene at this place. So Bhishma was one of the 8 Vasus who were Devatas. And all of those Devatas were thrown into the Ganga by Ganga Devi, who was the mother of Bhishma. But Bhishma was destined to remain in this world, and therefore she didn't throw him into the Ganga. He knew what was Dharma. Dharmagya, Bhishma is a Mahajan. So therefore he knew how to greet, even though he was lying on a bed of arrows, he still greeted all those rishis and the Pandavas and the Brahmanas. So Lord Krishna, who's the Paramatma, was present before Bhishma when he was about to leave his body. And Bhishma understood who was Lord Krishna all along. He was never in ignorance that Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Seeing the Pandavas, both the Pandavas and Bhishma began to cry due to love and affection. He was their grandfather. And he spoke to them. That you suffered, but you didn't deserve to suffer. But you were protected by the Brahmanas, by Bhagavan Krishna, and by Dharma. And as far as Kunti, she suffered greatly. My daughter-in-law Kunti. So Bhishma says, in my opinion, all of this is due to inevitable time. So this is an interesting number 14. The time is Krishna. Kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravrittaha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So how wonderful is time in text 15, 14 and 15. And in 18, Krishna is the Supreme Person, Bhishma says. Evam vai Bhagavan Sakshad Adhyo Narayanaf Puman Mohayan Mayaya Lokam. All the 3 worlds are in illusion because of his Maya Shakti. Gudhash Charita Vrishnishu. So he appears just like a ordinary human being in the Vrishni dynasty. So we don't understand that he's Narayana. And Bhishma tells Yudhishthira that Shiva, Narada, Kapila, they all know the glories of Lord Krishna. So Bhishma glorifies Krishna. And then having heard all of this from Bhishma, Yudhishthira asked Bhishma, what is dharma? That is number 25. Yudhishthira's tada karnya shayanam sharab panjare. Oh, this I have to, right. Apritchad vividhan dharman rishinam chanu shrinvatam. So Yudhishthira heard what Bhishma was saying, and then he inquired what is dharma. So number 27 is a very, very key and important verse that I've memorized. Dana dharman, raja dharman, moksha dharman, vibhagashaha, stri dharman, bhagavad dharman, samasa vyasa yogataha. So Bhishma described dharma to Yudhishthira, and he explained by divisions acts of charity, dana dharman, pragmatic activities of a king, Raja Dharman, and activities for salvation, Moksha Dharman. Then he described the duties of women and devotees, Sri Dharman, and then Bhagavat Dharman. So what is Dharma? This is actually just a synopsis of what is in the Shanti Parva of the Mahabharata, where all of this Varnashram dharmas are explained in great detail. So here is just a brief explanation of all that. So while Bhishma was describing these, Varnashram dharma, Uttarayanam began. So therefore, Bhishma spoke a lot on dharma and then fixed his mind on Lord Krishna, who was standing before him. And it says Krishna's 4 arms were seen by Bhishma. Chaturbhuja Swarupam. So meditating on Lord Krishna, number 32, key verse here. Let me now invest my thinking, feeling, and willing, which were so long engaged in different subjects and occupational duties, in the all-powerful Lord Sri Krishna. So Bhagavatam is a glorification of Krishna, and it began in the first canto, but the expanded Krishna Lila is in the 10th canto, Dashamaskanda. So, boy, very difficult to make a synopsis in a half an hour of all of this. But after Bhishma disappeared, his last rites were performed by Yudhishthir and the Pandavas and all the rishis. And then all the rishis glorified Lord Krishna. And then Veda Parayanam was done and all the rishis left, but meditating on Krishna, it says in text 47. Please read text 47. I guess I can. Tushtuvur munayo hrishtach Krishnam tad guhyanam abhihi tataste Krishna hridaya swashraman prayayuf punaha. So all the sages who were present there by reciting Vedas glorified Krishna, and then they returned to their ashramas, but thinking of Krishna. And Yudhishthir and Pandavas went to Hastinapur, where they ruled the kingdom, and then later on they took Vanaprastha ashram and went to the Himalayas. And also it says that he consoled Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Gandhari was also a yogini, it says here. English says mystic, but I think tapasvini, excuse me. She had performed a lot of austerities, so she's called an ascetic. So, wow, it's a tough task to present these. These chapters need to be studied in depth, and just to present a brief synopsis may not do full justice, but I made a humble attempt today. And tomorrow we'll take the next 3, which will be 10, 11, 12. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Is it a little dark, huh?
No, it's fine. No, thank you very much. I know, but I think the flow was beautiful today. And every other day we've had 2 sessions before. And I do understand that in half an hour, to get the synopsis, but, we've been reading these, chapters, translations and purports. So we finished the first canto. So it's a good way to kind of, focus on the most important verses and then reread them to get the gist of that particular chapter. So that you've brought out very beautifully. So thank you, Prabhu. Any questions? Any questions or comments, reflections on today's session or anything else? So we have Anupam Ratan. No, Anupama Radharani Mataji, I'm sorry. Anupama Radharani Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances. You mentioned Gandhari was a tapaswini, and in Mahabharata we see that um, um, sometime during the Mahabharata war, she asked her son Duryodhan to appear in front of her as he was in the same state as when he was born, so that she could give the credit of her tapasya to him. So, could you explain a little bit about that kind of credit, which is exhaustible, versus the credit that spiritual credit that devotees get? And also, when devotees observe Ekadashi and they wish to give the credit to somebody else, so does their own credit decrease? Hare Krishna.
Well, I'm not sure about how to answer the Ekadasi question. And the first question, boy, you got me on that. How was she a tapasvini? Is that the question?
No, Prabhu, not how. But when she gave her credit to her son Duryodhan.
Oh, she wanted to give the credit to him.
Yeah,
right.
So her own credit was exhausted. But spiritual credit is not like that. So if you can just shed some light on that.
Wow, Duryodhana didn't succeed even with her credit. He was defeated. Spiritual credit, wow, that's a big topic. I don't think I can do justice. I mean, we feel means Bhagavad Gita says, right, that any, should I dig out? I didn't memorize that shloka, but it's sixth chapter. I got to dig it out for you. Unfortunately, yeah, there are some really key verses in Gita that I need to memorize. I got it. So, Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan, I know this. Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan, Ushitva Shashvati Samaha, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Vijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, Punya Kritan Lokan. So those who have done punyas, they go to certain planets like Indra Swarga, or there are planets above Indra Lokam, above Indra Swarga. So Prapya, they have, having obtained that, Ushitva, they lived there, Shashvati Samaha, for many thousands of years. They come back to this world and get a good jump, right? Does that answer the question, or that's partial answer?
I just also, thank you, Prabhu. I also wanted to know how this spiritual credit works. Like,
right. See, Gita, Krishna says, Partha naiveha namudra vinashastasya vidyate. This is the real verse. Nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatim tata gachati. So those who have done auspicious activities, kalyana krit, durgatim, there is no kaschit. Durgatim, nahi kalyana krit kaschid durgatim. Those who have done these pious activities won't suffer. So what are the pious activities? So bhakti is the pious activity. Mam cha yo avyabhicharena yo bhakti yogena sevate. Those who engaged in pure bhakti, sagunan samatitya etan gunan, they cross over the rajogun, tamogun, and sattvagun. Brahmabhuyaya kalpate, they attain the supreme Brahma. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. They obtain that. Kalpate means they obtain it. So in the practice of bhakti, and in these chapters we were reading, it's described how Vyasadeva performed pure bhakti, giving up. See, pure bhakti means I do some service for Krishna, but it's not that I want something material in return. But, people go to temples of Krishna, Balaji, I told that story, right? I don't remember, Prabhu, did I tell the story? It's an old story.
No.
That someone goes to Balaji to, win at the horse race. In Bangalore, they have a horse racing racetrack. Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad, and Bombay, only these places. I don't know, Calcutta must have, it was a British Raj, they started the horse races. It's not Vedic culture. And so there's gambling, which is also not Vedic culture. So someone comes to Balaji, Balaji, I want to win, please bless me by winning race number whatever. I want to win 1,00,000 rupees in the race. Those days, 1,00,000 rupees was a lot of money. This is a 40-year-old story, 50-year-old story. So then he wins 50,000 rupees and comes back, oh Lord, I see you've already taken your share. That's the joke. That's the joke. If I win 1,00,000, I'll give you 50,000 in the hundi, right? People put crores of rupees in the hundi in Tirupati. So he only won 50,000. So he says, oh Lord, I see you've already taken your share. Oh boy, I forgot the whole joke. It's so long. So yeah, people go to deities in India, and now there's plenty of Hindu temples in the United States. There's lots of Hindus, and they're materialistic. So, the glory of India is that you have the Vedic literature. But if you haven't studied Vedic literature and then gone on to the end of Vedic literature, the Vedanta, then there'll be only dharma, artha, and kama, no moksha. And the real aim is moksha. Gita is also sarva dharman parityaja, mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhya. I'll take all of your papas, moksha ishyami. I will give you moksha. That's easier said than done. To actually give up everything for Krishna and not expect some material gain, dhanam, janam, and sundarim, as described by Mahaprabhu. Even a very old man wants a beautiful young wife. And that's in the Bhagavatam. Chavan Rishi and Yayati, these two stories. Yayati was an old man and he asked his son for his youth. And the son gave him Pururabha. And he suffered as an old man while his father enjoyed young women. And the same thing was Chavan. He wanted a young wife and he was an old man. And he got the young wife and she served him. And then by Yoga Shakti, he was able to have a youthful body and enjoy with her. So these are materialistic devotees. They're called Sakam Bhaktas, devotees with some material desire. And we are not free from those material desires, so we may be born again and again. So to be a totally pure devotee, and like Vyasadeva and Shukadev who went naked, he had no material desires. He just drank a little milk to keep himself alive, but the aim of life is not to stay in the material body, which we have to give up anyway. That explanation took longer than describing the shlokas that we were going over in rapid, what is it? A rapid method. So I think we can wind it up.
Yeah.
And we'll meet everyone tomorrow again.
Yes, we will certainly do that. Thank you, Prabhu. So tomorrow will be the 4th session, another 3 chapters, and the 5th one we will do 4, right? That was the...
Right. We'll,
yeah.
No, 6th one, 6 sessions, right?
Oh yeah, 6 sessions. Yeah. So sorry.
Right, 6 sessions.
So it'll go on till Friday, and we can even...
Three.
Yeah, I
Thursday,
was thinking...
not
we can
Friday,
even...
Thursday.
Yeah, I'm saying...
Three are over and 3 more.
Yeah.
So 6 chapters in 2 days and 4 chapters in 1 day. So
That's
it's 14 more chapters.
Yeah. I'm just saying if we have to extend by a day or 2, that's also a possibility to accommodate, a
We'll
little more
see.
elaborately. Yeah,
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, we've made some progress.
No, it has been very nice, and we'll look forward for more. Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much.
Okay.
And thank you everyone for attending in. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Praise Basu Ghosh.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Jagannath.
Jai, jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.